Alrighty, hi everyone. My name is Ian Hollowaty. I'm going to be starting off this presentation today. We're going to be talking about internships and most importantly, where you go after you've achieved your internship and how you can best kind of take advantage of it and really conquer the world after you have that first internship, moving on to the second, third, and up on to graduation. So once again, I just want to thank the ICMC for showing up here today and helping us in terms of spreading their word and what they're able to do and help all the students here at U of M Dearborn, and as well as Alpha Kappa Psi, all the brothers and the alumni that will be speaking today. So first line of business, this is going to be just the agenda for today. We're going to talk about, first want to shout out to our fraternity, give you guys a little information on that, and then we'll be moving on to the panelists. They'll be talking about how to prepare for the internship, what you can do during the internship, and best ways to end it and moving on after that. After that, the ICMC will be giving a few words about what they can offer to the U of M Dearborn students. Rita Agius will be here to assist us with that. And after that, we will have a Q&A. So first off, what is Alpha Kappa Psi? Alpha Kappa Psi is the longest standing co-ed international business fraternity. It's been here on campus for a number of decades, but we were off campus for a few years back in the early 2000s and came back in 2015. Our values are brotherhood, knowledge, integrity, unity, and service. I always forget one. So our main goal here on campus is to always network, and by network, I mean really getting you to understand, who's in my industry, who can I reach out to? It gives you access to all the alumni that have been here since 1904 is when we started as a fraternity. And across the world, I know I met brothers from Britain, from Singapore, from Hong Kong, all over. Professional development, offering you just tips and tricks on your resume, your LinkedIn, what you can do to better set yourself and prepare yourself for internships and beyond. Lifelong friendships, that's the other thing we offer within this fraternity. We're not just an honor society. We're not just here to provide you the business common ground that you need, but we're also here to provide you the brotherhood aspect. We want you to feel, especially with U of M Dearborn being a big commuter campus, we want you to feel like you have that second family away from home. You have the friends that you can talk to. I know for me, the biggest thing that I've gotten out of this portion of our fraternity is being able to walk into any classroom or go into any Zoom call, and instantly there's 4 or 5 other brothers in every class that I have. And that makes just overall learning and understanding the material you're gathering in class much easier. And again, we offer leadership opportunities as well. Leadership opportunities within our fraternity are always very, it contains a lot of activities, not only to develop the fraternity, but to develop yourself as well, whether it be an e-board position or working, when you're on an e-board position, working not only as representing our fraternity and working for our brothers, but for working as a member of the student orgs across campus with U of M Dearborn. If you're interested in pledging with us starting next semester, feel free to check out our website, akpsi-umdearborn.org. And then going into a little bit of an introduction about myself, my name is Ian Hollowaty. I've been a brother in Alpha Kappa Psi since the spring of 2018. I was the president of our chapter, Eta Nu, during the calendar year of 2019, and currently I am the professional committee head. I'm a senior majoring in information systems management and finance. I'll be graduating next semester. I intern with M&R Ventures alongside Lynn Nguyen, who will be presenting right after me. And I just finished up an internship with the Marathon Petroleum Corporation. I'm searching for a business analyst position or an IT audit position as well. All right, so starting off, we have Lynn, who will be giving information about her experiences and how she can best provide that information to you guys and where you can all go going into an internship or going out of an internship. So Lynn, take it away.
All right, thank you so much, Ian, and hello everyone. My name is Linh Nguyen, and I am a brother of Alpha Kappa Psi since spring 2019. And right now, I am a senior majoring in marketing and I will graduate in this December. So, talking about my internship, I had a great time working as the business analyst intern at N&R Venture. They are a startup in Troy, Michigan. And right now, I am a field marketing intern at Simmons Digital Industry Software, and I really enjoy my time right now. So, for after I graduate, I looking forward for a position in marketing campaign management. So let finger crossed. And that's a little bit about me. So right now, let moving on to some tips and tricks that I have learned during my two amazing internships. So the first thing is how can we prepare for for the interview. So my first tip is building the database on your application and interview process, and this will help us to keep track on how many company we apply for, what company is that, and what's the job description that they have for it. So this will save you on your first phone interview where you have when you can have some idea about what they are looking for, and also from this database they also tell us about what state of the interview that we need to improve. For example, when you look at the database and you see that the final interview is where stop you the most, then you can focus to improve the skill for this round, maybe that working on the star methods, or improve your eye contact that can help you with the final interview. So the second tip is always doing the research about a company to come prepare for any questions and show them that they are ready to join their team. So from my own experience, I will ask to give my feedback about the company background, about the company website. So without doing the research, I cannot answer that questions. So my lesson learned is always do your research right at the first phone interview. So being prepared. And also taking notes during the interview is another tip. So but make sure that you doing that politely. So if you have a panel interview, taking notes will help you to remember what each manager doing, and also give you the idea to ask them some question at the end of your interview. So that's the my tip that I have using to prepare for the interview. So now we land an internship. So congratulations. Now we're gonna see what we can do to make our internship amazing, right? So the first thing is always ask questions. I believe that you have heard about this advice so many times, right? And it's the always true. But to add more onto that, I recommend to um, doing the research before you ask questions so that you can ask the right questions and know what you're looking for into the answer. And this will help to save your time and other people's time, and also make a good impression about you from with other people. And the second tip is doing the networking. So always connect to people in your team and form another team. So don't be afraid to send out a cold email for an informational interview or touch base. I know it will be really hard at first. Trust me, I feel it's really hard too. But when you start doing that, you're gonna get better. So one way to expand your connection is to use LinkedIn to post or share about your jobs using the hashtag related to the job that you are doing. So with the magic of LinkedIn, you can reach to a lot of people in your organization and also start a conversation from there. So be ready and be proactive on LinkedIn to build on your connection, build on your networking. And the next tip I would like to mention here is to always accept challenge. So consider the challenge as an opportunity for you to learn and to prove yourself. Remember that you have your team to learn from, your manager to ask advice, and at least you have Google to do the research. So why don't we step up and give it a try, right? And lastly, taking extra step to bring in a better results is another tip. So our goal here is to meet our manager expectation and also take one step further from there. For example, I was assigned to provide the content for the new landing page. So I did that. The landing page go live. I'm happy, but then I thinking, what should I do now? What should I do with the landing page? Then I suggest with my team that let's do data analysis to measure the success of the page and see which part of the page that we can improve to get more customers. So I think it's really important to not only get the job done, but also improve the performance of the job. So that's the tip that I had for us to during the internship. And finally, when we come to the end of the internship, I recommend to send a thank you letter and keep the relationship with your team. So we can do it by sending the New Year or Christmas card to them, and you want to do it with your heart and truly show them that you value the relationship and the experience that they gave you. So one example is when the pandemic first happened, I was thinking about the startup company that I work at because they are startups, so a high chance that they're gonna be impacted really hard by the pandemic. So I sent a message to my old boss to check in and have a little conversation with her, and I'm glad that they are still doing great. But I think that the lesson I learned is treat your former company and your old boss as a friend and care about them as you would do to one of your friends. That's how you build a relationship, your long-term relationship with people. And the last step is to reflect on the experience that you have by updating your resume, build a presentation on that, or have a conversation with your manager to take a look at your goal when you first start and the result of your job to see like what skill have you have improve, what skill have you built, and what can you do later to to build yourself more valuable. So that's all the tip and trick that I get from my internship. I wish that it can help you to have a great time at your internship also. And just remember that internship is the time for you to explore yourself. No matter you work for a small or a big company, this is the opportunity for us to know what we want to do and what we don't want to do in the future, and also expand your networking. So always looking for the new opportunity and keep yourself proactive and positive. And from that, you're gonna do great. Thank you, Ian.
Sorry about that, everyone. I was trying to figure out how to turn my mic back on, but thank you very much, Lynn. Moving on, we now have Chris Simmons. Chris, are you here?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Take it away.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Christopher Simmons, brother of Alpha Kappa Psi since 2014. Currently, I'm the executive vice president of the Motor City Alumni Chapter, which is our local alumni um, group. Vice president. So back in college, I was vice president of external relations in 2015, and I was also a pledge educator twice. It's kind of one of my enjoyments in the fraternity was coaching. So alumnus, I graduated 2016 with a degree in supply chain management. Um, so I co-opted a few different places before graduating. Well, throughout college before graduating, American Axle was my first claim to fame. Then Detroit Manufacturing Systems, and then finished off at Evans Distribution Systems. Currently, I'm in production control at Hyundai. Um, it's kind of a weird relationship that we have with Chrysler. But yeah, so that's what I currently do. And future goals, aspirations, of course, continuing certs. I'm not a big fan of master's degrees and graduate degrees, but if you are, go get them. But more of a certs and, of course, growing multiple streams of income other ways. So financial services, I'm also in financial services, and I have a few licenses there. Let me hit the next slide. Thank you. So research, everything. One thing that I took upon myself was to, of course, know everything about the company. I mean, stock price, if they're involved in any new ventures, know your interviewer. You should be researching their LinkedIn. Most of the time, you'll get their names ahead of the interview, that is one point where you can actually take it upon yourself to find out what they like, find out what they've been into. They might have been a part of the same organization. They might have the same degree. Just talk about experience. You never know what they share on their LinkedIn that will actually, assist you in building a connection with someone. Um, uh, the biggest thing to kind of get an idea of when you're looking though is to know what you want to get out of it. I know Lynn kind of touched on that at the end of hers, but you want to know that beforehand too at the beginning. You kind of want to know up front to show a little confidence that, hey, this is what I kind of want, I'm interested in, and this is what I want to go after. And then putting it to the test. You want to be put to the test, meaning you want to get reviewed. You want your resume to get reviewed by your peers, people in industry, people who recruit. You want to make sure that it's as good as it can possibly be. I know I had a very, very good relationship with a lot of alumni. They were overly gracious of helping me, even now to this day, with reviewing my resume, making sure that it's one of the best that could be presented to them. Like if they saw my resume, they would hire me. So that's one of the biggest things. You shouldn't be shy as a student and think that I just want to kind of push my resume through and hope that it gets the attention it deserves. You want to know it, so get it put to the test. Second thing, absorb everything. When you're in an internship, you are literally probably a fish out of water. You're gonna feel like a fish out of water. You're gonna be like, okay, what you're gonna be you're gonna be trying to be told what you should be focusing on project wise. Of course, there's always a project, something that you have to present at the end of the internship, but you want to be absorbent of every little piece of everything from any different department that you're going to touch or be a part of within that internship. Part of it is eliminating your comfort zone. You're going to, a lot of interns, they go in with the premise of being shy. I was definitely not shy, and this is where I, blossomed. I would always say good morning, right? Everyone, right? Whether it's a VP or whether it was, another co-op, just be friendly, right? Lynn kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. Skills you want to develop, right? You want to develop Excel, ERP systems, new processes and procedures that are in the industry, right? You want to pick up these type of things. You want to develop these type of thing. You're not going to have all of it from a course. One thing that I made my business was reaching it across and trying to also solve problems. I know at my Detroit manufacturing internship, after I did all the project work, right, I had extra time. Take that time to work with other folks if you can, right? And of course, with the grace of your manager, I was able to work with a consultant. So there, I actually took it to go further than just what my actual presentation was, and it was actually a benefit. To conclude, your internship, of course, Lynn touched on this also, is that is where you can answer the question, what you expected to get out of it. And did you get it? What you like, what you don't like, you have to know that. That's what you want to know. You want to be able to walk away and say, hey, this is what I like, this is what I didn't like. And of course, she also said, connect with everyone. You want to leave a last impression, smile, all of the above, and make sure that, you were, I would say legendary, but yeah, because legends get remembered, right? You want to be that modeled intern. A few tips, just quickly. Of course, leaving no rock unturned. That goes with, straightforward. Basically, you want to get as much covered in searching. That's a searching aspect. You don't want to, of course, you're not going to know everything about everything, but you want to. You want to try to. Even with networking, of course, some people say, I don't want this. I don't want to go this route. I want to go somewhere else route. Sometimes just piquing curiosity and developing, hey, or just talking to other folks about other things, right? Finance majors, they can go into supply chain, right? That's something that they wouldn't know if they were just, looking at specifically finance internships. It goes with student orgs. Of course, I got some a couple of my internships from going outside of AKSI and Supply Chain Association. Next, do all the things. I mean, some people say, hey, should I shoot my resume here? Should I shoot my resume there? Recruiters, career fairs, everything. I know it's kind of hard right now with the COVID for career fairs, but everything. LinkedIn, apps, everything. You don't want to miss an opportunity by saying, I just limit myself to this one area. Be bold, be brilliant. You definitely want to be relentless, courageous. You want to present that you have, some type of direction. Whether you know or you don't know, you want to present that. You want to be confident in yourself, and you should be. So those are the last tips that I'll leave you with. So I didn't go over my time.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Moving on, we have Ryan Matey. Ryan, you ready?
Yes, I am. Thank you,
All
Ian.
right, take it away.
How's everyone doing tonight? My name is Ryan Matey, and I've been an Alpha Kappa Psi brother since winter of 2018. Right now, I'm currently the president, so if you're wanting to join our organization, let me know, and I can hook you up with who our new president will be. It's a great time, definitely worth a try. Last year, I was the Master of Rituals and a Pledge Educator, so I've had a lot of different experiences with Alpha Kappa Psi, and I'm looking forward to becoming a general brother again before I graduate. And speaking about graduation, I'm graduating in April 2021, and I have a major in marketing and human resource management. Over my time in college, I've interned with the city of Detroit and Roche Diagnostics. And after college, I'm going to be searching for a marketing analyst position. Thank you, Ian. So the 3 steps. 1, for preparation. One thing that I highly advise is once you get that internship, meet with your team in advance. I know right now in person is nearly impossible, but if you can meet with them online, that's a great thing to do. It'll help calm your nerves on your first day when you already see familiar faces and you've already had a chance to talk to them. Connect with them on LinkedIn, strike up a chat. It can't hurt you in any way. I did that for both of my internships and it was great. The first day I already knew them a little bit, and it just made that transition so much easier. And if you have not yet, you read up on that company and learn as much as you can about them. They're going to probably be talking about what's going on in the news on your first day, and you might just want to be up to date so you can participate in those conversations. And just having a fundamental understanding of what is going on in that business is so important if you're going to be a part of it. You want to know exactly, pretty much everything that they're doing. So if you can do that, definitely read up. Just search their name on Google. It's super easy, and it's a great way to stay in touch. Lastly, one thing that my manager taught me at my previous internship was learn the industry. You're probably going to be going in a very specific industry. For me, mine were government and healthcare. And one thing that you should really do before you get there is just read up on articles and trends for these different industries. Really knowing what you're getting into is something that's great because, a lot of these industries are constantly changing. You read the news all the time, you hear them on TV. There's always something new going on. So staying up to date with that is great. And one thing my manager really talked about was listening to podcasts. There's a lot of great podcasts that'll go in depth on subjects and make them in an entertaining way. So that's just a great way, while you're washing dishes at home, just to plug your earphones in and just kind of stay up to date with the business that you're in. That's something that I recommend. So if you do those 3 things, you'll be more than ready to take on your internship. So next is improvement. So once you're there, the one thing that you cannot hesitate to do is ask questions. You need to ask as many possible questions, every time you're confused, anytime you're wondering anything. The managers are there to help you. Pretty much anyone in that company, they know that you're an intern. They want to help you get up to speed, and they want to help you professionally develop. You will never go wrong by asking a question. So definitely keep that as a rule of thumb. Now, if there's an opportunity that comes up where you can take on extra responsibility, you should definitely do that. And my circumstances at Roche Diagnostics, one thing they had was separate teams for the interns where one team would put on a professional development event, one team would put on a social event. That is a great way to get involved and look good to the leadership. So if you take on, for example, a leadership role where you're running the social team and you get, different interns involved together and being able to hang out outside of the workplace, that's going to look really good on you because that's one thing that they definitely are trying to push themselves. So if you can take on extra responsibility, whether it is a new project, just do it. And first of all, you'll grow from it. And second of all, it's going to look really good, as I said. So another thing that I definitely recommend you do, please meet as many people as you can. This is your one chance to really network within that company and get pretty much exclusive access to anybody that you want. Obviously bearing a few different bars, but if you really want to meet someone, you probably can set up just 15 minutes with them and just kind of talk about how they got to where they are. And not only is that great on your career and your different major, but it can also help you with your projects. Let's say that you're working on something super specific. You can set up a meeting with someone that you don't know that has experience in that and just ask them what they would do. Having like an outside consulting experience might help your project go so much better. So meet as many people as you can, grow that LinkedIn network, grow your professional network. You can't go wrong. And then lastly, seeking out a mentor that is separate from your manager. A lot of companies do this now where they try to set you up with a mentor when you begin, but sometimes that might not always work out, or your company might not just do this. If you can find someone that you really click with and that they're a little older than you, they have more experience, try to latch onto them, see if that they can be your mentor, see if they can really help you with your experience and give you guidance and advice and become someone that you really rely on after your internship as well. This is about building lifelong connections in your internship and really jumpstarting your career. So finding someone that's a good mentor is something that I totally recommend, and it's something you should totally do at your internship. So lastly, the internship's now done. You've reached the conclusion. The one thing is that everyone has touched on, send things to your manager. It could not be a better thing to do. They've worked so hard all summer to, develop different assignments and help with your professional development. The least you can do is send them a thank you. And I definitely recommend a handwritten note or letter. Send it to your manager and they'll know that your appreciation. And one thing that I've also done is give a gift card to my manager. They definitely find it really appreciative that you taking the time to really thank them properly and for all that great time. So definitely send thanks to your manager. It's a great way to stay in touch and a great way to keep them in your mind, especially if the company is looking for full-time employment at some point. Next, like I said earlier, connect with everyone on LinkedIn. It doesn't matter if you talk to them one time, connect with them on LinkedIn. It looks great to have a huge network of people from that company, especially if you're going to try to come back into it later. You can rely on these people, for anything, and you can always hit them up, stay up to date with what's going on in the company. And you could just ask them for personal career advice or just have a normal conversation like Lynn was talking about. It's definitely great to keep those contacts because you definitely worked this hard to get them in the first place. So you might as well keep them. And lastly, make a final presentation wrapping up everything you learned. This is something that is super, super important because a lot of times, a year removed out of your internship, you're not going to always remember what you were doing the summer before. So if you make that, right, fresh out of your mind, what you did at that internship, it's going to be great because then you can look back on it and reference it and you can jog your memory. Oh yeah, I did do that, right? And this can be something that's really beneficial when you're, tailoring your resume to what you did or your LinkedIn profile, or even if you're going to go back in that company, you can send someone that presentation and say, hey, this is kind of a snapshot, and that can make you look really, really good because then they can have a holistic view on what you did in that internship. So if you follow these steps, I know that you'll have a great internship experience, and I hope you take some of what I said to heart. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ryan. I appreciate it. Moving on, we have Aman. Aman, you ready?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
Take it away.
how you doing, guys? My name's Aman Patel. I've been a brother of AK Psi since the winter of 2019. In the fall of 2019, I was co-head of recruitment, and I am actually going to be the upcoming Master of Rituals for the 2021 calendar year. So I plan on graduating fall of 2021, so next December, majoring in finance and accounting, so double majoring. And I've interned at Guerin LaCow Miller, which is a law firm in Detroit, Dana Incorporated in Novi, and KLA, which is in Ann Arbor. And currently I'm at Yangfang, which is also in Novi. And after graduation, I'm seeking a financial analyst position. So, when you get that interview and you're preparing for that interview, some of the things I like to do is do extensive research. You got to know more about the company than you like to think you need to know. So because they won't ask you questions that are just on the website. They'll ask you questions about, what you read on the website and what does that mean? They'll ask you why us? That's a question I got a lot in the interviews, like why us then, another company or one of our competitors. So you got to do extensive research to make sure that you kind of have answers to those, meaningful answers to those. And make an introduction, kind of give a quick, elevator pitch or something to kind of show who you are, what you want to get out of this and where you're going. So make an introduction to your interviewer so you make a lasting presence to them, and engage in meaningful discourse. Interviews can be really intimidating, but just knowing that, the other person is also a human and just conversating with them, especially during COVID, when a lot of the interviews are kind of online or on the phone, engaging in meaningful discourse. It's not always serious or, kind of make, kind of relevant conversations that are about the job. That kind of shows your social side or your culture side, because a lot of the interview is also getting to see if you will be a good fit for the culture of the company. So engage in meaningful discourse. Secondly, when you get the internship and when you're in the middle of the internship, things you should do, always continue to learn. Like all the panelists before me said, when you're at the internship, that's one of the only times you're going to get exclusive access to anyone you want within the company. So continue to learn more about the company, what they do, where they're planning to go. So when someone asks you, what does your company do, or what do you do at the company, you have an actual answer and you can explain to them and kind of give a detailed picture. And then networking, kind of builds off the previous point. This is the only time you're going to have exclusive access to these guys. So always network. Attend any and all meetings you can when you're free. Always shoot people messages. If they have a quick. One of the greatest things actually about COVID during internships is that you can make quick 15, 30-minute calls, Zoom calls with people. That's what I did at my last internship at KLA. So I networked in that way of just, what do you do at the company? Where were you? How have you moved within the company? Just getting to know more about, the person and also more about the company. By networking, you kind of understand a lot about the company culture, which I cannot speak to how great that is, because it's just not about, what the position is or what the salary is, but what the culture of the company is and how does that, kind of benefit you and your end goals. And always be aware of the skills you learn, so that when someone asks you what you do, you can give them a meaningful answer. With something you can put on your resume or your LinkedIn, or you kind of, explain to them, or when you're having a conversation outside the company, you can kind of, explain to them how that relates to you as well. So always be aware of the skills you're learning, because at a different company, you may be using different technical softwares or names, but on the core, you might be doing the same thing. So always being aware of what you're learning when you're at the internship. So after, a great internship, you're about to end, what are some things you should do? So I know in 2 of my internships I've done an internship presentation, basically just saying what you did, what you got out of it, what you learned, and what the results were. At KLA, that was the biggest one, and where I was in a Zoom call with all of the finance team in Ann Arbor. So it was nice to see all of them actually, kind of take aside time to kind of see me and what I've learned. So make sure you rock this internship presentation. And then always acknowledge and thank your mentors and managers. Like every other panel said before me, they've spent countless amount of time on kind of helping you throughout the process. Even the smallest things, getting you access to softwares, it takes a while. So just thanking them for the time they've given you, and just making sure that people that kind of helped you during the internship are acknowledged. When I left KLA, I sent everyone I've talked to, all the 30-minute conversations I've had, I sent them all like a detailed message of conversation we had, and just thanking them and looking forward to building a future relationship with them. And that brings me to my last point, is keeping up with the network you built. So it's just not, after the internship's over, you just don't want to forget about everyone and everything you've learned. You always want to keep up with them and make sure, you kind of have one foot in the door if, possible future opportunities come. I just yesterday got off the phone, or I had a quick meeting with my manager from KLA, and just keeping up with, what's going on in the company and what are the latest developments. So always just keeping up with the network you built, just so in the future, it's not always about how they can help you, it's about how you can help them. So always keeping up with everyone that you've met. So yeah, if you do those 3 things, you'll have a great internship experience, and you'll learn a lot.
Alrighty, thanks a lot, Aman. I really appreciate it, and thank you again to all the panelists. Right now, we will be moving on to meet the ICMC. Rita, are you ready to speak?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm glad to be here, and excellent job, Alpha Kappa Psi. So the ICMC, first thing I want to make clear is that your career development begins as soon as you walk into the University of Michigan Dearborn. You are constantly, while you're here, even at early on as a freshman, you're building your profile, you're building your credentials. So what we do is we counsel you and show you right from the beginning, what can you get involved in? Student organizations such as Alpha Kappa Psi, very, very important. It keeps you on the cutting edge. When an HR representative looks at your resume and they see that you are part of an organization, it shows that you're taking things out of the books. So you're learning, you're getting this fine education, but then you're applying this education by learning about the outside industries in your field of study. So what do we do here? We do career counseling specialized to your major. So we have certain counselors that work highly in different fields, meaning we go out and we do tours at different companies. We talk to different management, talk to different HR reps from specialized companies. So we can tell you, hey, this is the next thing that you need if you want to be successful in finance. We do this on a regular basis. Even though now we're in the virtual world, we're still doing this weekly. So it is very important to talk to us and set up intake appointments. The next thing on the list here is resume and cover letter review and feedback. Your resume speaks. This is all the employer has of you. So when we are trying to assist you in regards to your resume and we look it over, we'll look at the holes, I say, so to speak, of there's not any volunteership here. There's no internships that we see. How can we build this resume to keep you on the cutting edge? And internships are right at the top. You have to be able to apply what you've learned in the classroom to a job. Because coming from the University of Michigan Dearborn, they expect you to hit the ground running, right? So when you graduate, it's not nearly enough to say, well, I have a 4.0, because they're going to look and say, well, what else have you done? So the old mentality of I graduated and I have a 4.0 or 3.9 does not fly anymore. You need to be part of student organizations. You need to have internships and volunteerism. That's very important because it shows that you care about the community. On your resume, when you say that you volunteer for free, number one, it helps you get into the door of certain locations. For example, there are a lot of people who are at Beaumont, business students, and they volunteer there once a month or every 2 weeks prior to COVID, of course. And you have to remember that Beaumont has supply chain management, Beaumont has finance, they have accountants there. So when they see that you're working there for free and you're educated and you're doing this on your own time, once a job populates in the system, you're already there with your name tag. They already have something on you. So it's, I can't say a guarantee, but you usually always come out with at least an interview and a lot of times a job. So showing that you care about the community, all these different types of places around us, business runs them. Remember that. Business runs them. Check mark number 3, internship experiential learning opportunities. Just like I said, we will help you seek internships, volunteer opportunities, and different type of what I call short-term internships, where they're not a whole semester. They will give you maybe 8 hours a week of experiential learning, where you can still, maybe if you have a job, hold on to your job, but still get that practical experience. Internships have come a long way where you don't have to leave your job. They work with you. And now, due to this pandemic, everything is moving to the virtual world. You're going to see indefinite virtual internships, indefinite job placement, where you can apply for positions all over the United States of America, and you can get them, and they certainly count. So remember that you are not held right now just to Michigan. You can seek outside of Michigan. So the opportunities are growing, okay? Postgraduate job assistance. We are always here to help you. So no matter what happens, maybe you have a job after graduation and maybe a few years later you want to change jobs, or maybe you got laid off and you're like, listen, I really need some help. We will be there to help review your resume again, help with interviewing processes, and talk to you about who we know is hiring and what type of job flow is coming in the next few months. That's what we do. Next is on-campus and company site recruitment events. During pre-pandemic, we would have a lot of different type of tours, and we would have companies come to the college to recruit, to give informational sessions. We are still doing that. The tours are going to be more virtual that are coming up, but we do have virtual information sessions. So nothing has changed to hurt you. We're just adapting to a change. And to become a smarter individual, you have to learn how to adapt to change. This is not going to be the first time that we adapt. We're always going to have to adapt to new ways of lifestyle, workplace environment, office, and etc. Next, career fairs and on-campus interviews. So we do have specialized career fairs from the ICMC, which is very nice. We have one, for example, in September that is accounting and finance, and that's where you're just going to see accounting firms and financial advisory firms that are seeking students that are going into this major or already in this major. Very nice. They're more small, they're quaint, but again, we have switched that to virtual and they are working out great. And I'm happy to say that many of the individuals who have attended are landing internships. So I'm seeing a great rise in that, which is really, really nice, especially at this time that we're in. And next, I think the screen is, oops. Oh, if we could just go back one time, Ian. Thank you. Facilitating network opportunities and mock interviews. So many students will tell me that I have a great resume, I always get a call, but I go on the interview and nobody calls me back. And that's very common, especially being in, college right now. And that's because there are so many different types of trick questions, behavioral questions, different methods that they use to analyze you. That is where we come in and we kind of do something called a mock interview, where we will ask the same type of industry related questions. And then after, we'll take off our hat and we'll put our U of M hat back on and we'll say, hey, this is what you did that was great, but these are the things that you did that are not. And this is what we have to work on. Instead of giving this example, you may want to switch to this type of example. So we will show you so you can become very, very comfortable in answering those trick questions. They are hard, but guess what? Every time you practice and you do a mock interview, you get stronger and stronger. And by the time you've been through like 2 or 3 of these, you can just roll it off your tongue. You are so confident in how to answer these questions that you will get that call back and you will get that job offer. Now we can move to the next slide. Okay, so summing this up, why career counseling and internships? Why? It's to figure out what you like and do not like. Example, people will tell me all the time, I'm majoring in accounting, I'm going to be an accountant. And I say, well, what type of accountant do you want to be? They say, well, an accountant, I want to make 60,000 coming out the door. And then I say, well, there's something called corporate accounting and public accounting. And then their eyes just freeze. In each industry, whether it's accounting, whether it's HR, there are different paths. And I kind of like to call them in my own mind, the introvert and extrovert path. Example, if you're going into human resources, you have the human resource student that loves to talk and be in the public, more like public relations. Those are the people that go into training and development, right? They have to be out there training. They like to move around from site to site. It's more of the extroverted HR individual. Then you have the very detailed individuals that love to sit at the desk and analyze. They analyze and make sure this is checked off, make sure this is going in right for retirement. That's a different type of HR person. You have to know your path. You cannot just say, I'm going into HR and I just want to work in HR, because there's different facets and there's different types. So knowing who you are as a person and what fulfills you is very important in the success of your career development and future career. So I help kind of pick that out of you to understand which path you should be looking at and why. So check mark number 7, apply your education, the real world experience. It's one thing to know the terminology, but putting it to work is a whole nother ball game. We can talk the talk, but then we have to walk the walk. So bringing that into a practical light is very important. The only time you're going to do that is working within the setting. So gaining experience and increased marketability. On your resume, if you have a student, I say this all the time, with a 3.5, but they were in a student org such as Alpha Kappa Psi, they have internships, at least 1 or 2 internships. They work part-time, they volunteer, but they have a 3.4, 3.5. Then we have the other student that thinks that they're more marketable because they have a 3.8, 3.9, or 4.0, but there's no student organizations. They have not done anything really in their field but go to school, and that's it. So increasing your marketability on a resume is all about experience and understanding how important a student organization is. Many individuals will come to me and say, I can't join a student org because they're going to want too much of my time. And I'm an advocate to tell them, listen, we are a commuter campus. They understand that you have other outside responsibilities and they will work with you. It is very, very important to join. So keeping yourself marketable on that resume, student orgs, internships, just at the very top of the list. Next is networking. You must learn how to network, whether it's through professional social media and LinkedIn, coming to campus events, joining virtual informational sessions where companies will see your name and you can reach out to them after on LinkedIn to say, hey, I was in your informational session, I'm going into whatever it is, and I would really like to do an informational interview with you for a few minutes. Would you mind? This is how the ball starts rolling. You start to get to know people through the university and your student org, and then you start this huge professional networking contact group. And that is a lot of times how you're going to get a job, is learning how to professional network. Next, professionalism. And I'm going to talk about this briefly. We're in a virtual world, right? So things have changed. Being in a virtual world, professionalism online, talking to employers, you need to have your virtual professional space. You need to have attire available to you that you know if I need to grab a suit jacket and a shirt real fast, I have it at my hand or close to me, because you may get pulled into a quick informational session. Things come up quick on the virtual world, right? So knowing how to stay very professional, have a professional spot, and having professional backgrounds such as your resume and different types of things that you can talk about that are building you up, not keeping you stagnant. And of course, we talk about money. If you are in an internship, if you have 1 or 2, you're going to be more marketable where you have a backbone to negotiate sometimes, right? So a lot of students will come to me and say, I want to make 60,000 coming out the gate, and I look for their internship and there's nothing there. So when they get offered 40,000, they get upset. And I say, listen, you can never ask to negotiate if you don't have anything to back you up. And backing you up means practical experience and companies listed on that resume. When they see the M block, it's already in their mind that they're getting the best in an intelligent graduate, but the next thing they look for is, where did they intern at? Oh, nowhere. Why? Very hard to explain why, because in this day and age, saying that, well, I'm so busy, everybody's busy, right? So we have to really come to the plate full. I have some statistics here on the slide that you can look at. For example, the first one, employed within 6 months of graduation. We are so grateful that, our internships, our employer partners are working so hard with our students and our student orgs. And we can see it here, employed at 91.2%. That's very, very, very good. So, looking at all of this, you see that many students, once they get their degree, are actually working in their degree. And that is very high. So we are very happy, because that means, the employers are trusting UMD and you guys are working very hard. So kudos to you guys at UMD, 100%. You guys are the best. I'm not just saying that, it's true. And I think I have one more slide here. So in our center, it's made up of 3 individuals. I, of course, am Rita Aegis, and I'm the internship program manager. I take care of the whole program in general, the entire internship program, but my specialty is accounting, human resources, and working with the general biz students, getting them where they can feel comfortable coming to us early on and really starting to build those pre-business students right from the get. So of course, here are my office hours and you guys can contact me at any time, but let me introduce my next team member, which is Miss Arlen Daly, and she works with us, and she is more of our employment coordinator and engagement. She works a lot with different companies and putting tours together and all those great things. So Miss Arlen Daly also has her specialization in digital marketing, information systems, and supply chain management. So anytime you have questions that surface around digital marketing or information systems and things like that, she's the expert in that area and has close ties to the organizations and whatnot. And then lastly is our great director, Ms. Tweary Wheeler, just a wealth of knowledge and just has so much great information to share always. But then again, too, she has her pool of what she is specialized in. And she has a great deal of finance under her belt, marketing and small business management. So you can talk to her really about anything, but that's what she specializes in. We are all here to help you guys. I don't want you guys to ever feel that, even in this time that we're not available. We are available all the time, anytime you need us. So please don't be strangers. Come talk to us, set up intake appointments, and let's start building this resume and professional profile so we can go ahead and get those great internships that you guys desire. Thank you. And there again, sorry, the last slide, anything we need in regards to the resumes and cover letters, all the good things that I have already mentioned, please contact us. Thank you, Ian.
All right, thank you very much, Rita. And thank you again to all the panelists again. So now we're going to devote some time for questions. Any questions at all, feel free to either just unmute yourself and ask, or put something in the chat. And you can direct these questions either to the panelists in general, Rita, or to a specific panelist.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Brendan, how are you?
I'm doing outstanding. So this was already discussed a little bit, and this is kind of just a general question for anybody that would like to answer it. The coronavirus pandemic has affected everybody's lives in some ways, more specifically in accordance with the topics we're talking to today, the economy, unemployment, stocks, strength of the economy overall. So as a student that will be looking for internships during this pandemic, how has the overall atmosphere changed for students that are trying to look for an internship?
Very, very good question. First, I want to say that I'm so grateful that we are getting so many different postings per day. So the good thing is the internships are coming, which is awesome. I can't keep up. Some days, honest to God, I can't keep up. Today, I already worked with 2 new companies and they just keep on going. So that's a very good thing. What these employers are doing now for internships is they're doing like an online orientation. Some corporations are having you have a mentor, right? Because you're working mostly virtually and you may not understand things as quick as if you were in the office. They're having people serve as like mentors. But this is the cool thing that's happened. You guys can now look out of state, right? You can look now out of state because most of the internships and employment, they call them now indefinite virtual, where if there was a place in Las Vegas or California, certain companies that you really thought were cool and they have an internship, you can apply. If you get accepted, great. The only thing that, and I'm in research right now, is that if they are paying you, sometimes, not always, depending on the state, you can be liable for 2 tax returns, for 1 for each state. Not always, but it can happen. I think there were 6 states I saw last night on there that they can do that. But nothing really has changed, except you have to have your virtual office set up and you have to make sure that you have everything you need. They are providing mentorships or providing orientations. So it's still pretty much the same. They're having their flash meetings more often, where 2 to 3 times a week with our students, they'll have like 10 minutes or 15 minutes of quick time, they call it. Any problems, concerns, they get all the interns in at once to talk about that. So I will say during this time, it's been actually very smooth. And I do not see a lull or a decrease for winter 2021. Fall, there was a dip. Not a bad dip, but there was a dip. Winter, it's going full force. And they're getting used to working at home, and they're getting used to working with their colleagues and holding meetings and, you know, sending things over via scan and having the Zoom client meetings and learning that there's checklists for the client meetings. They're getting so used to it now that it's like becoming like a seamless process. I hope that answers your question, Brendan.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions? Any questions directed towards a specific panelist?
One thing I'd like to just express, there are quite a few, you know, internships that are populating that are unpaid. Now, some of these internships, not all, but some of them have scholarship money available. If you see, I call it the shorter internship, where sometimes it's like 8 to 10 hours a week and it's unpaid. If you can get an internship and you can squeeze it into your time, always do it. Don't look at it as, oh, it's unpaid, so it's no good. That's not the truth. You actually, in these smaller corporations, get more bullets on your resume because they have more time to spend with you and you start doing more of the entrepreneurship work. So your bullets become very strong in, especially like the statistical information that you put out on those bullets, right? So if you look at some and you're like, oh no, I don't want to do that because it's unpaid, I urge you to think again, because remember this, experience is priceless. They cannot take that away from you. So if you're going to say, I don't want this and I don't want that and I don't want this, then you get that resume that nobody wants to look at because it's very weak and it's only academics that they see. Have a couple companies on there before you leave. It's very important in a student organization. It's crucial. It really is. So I just want to say, don't bypass an unpaid if you can do it and it's a short-term one. You'll be thankful at the end, I promise.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that. Like, I totally agree with Rita about it, because my experience with M&A Venture is the unpaid internship, but I have learned a lot and improved my skill and also the entrepreneurship. Sorry, I have a hard time saying that word, the entrepreneur skill a lot. And that experience that helped me to get a job at Simmons. So definitely worth the time.
Very good. Thank you. It's very good to hear. And I'll tell you what, there's a couple companies such as Feast Detroit that will have student interns there unpaid. And then after they graduate, they see that the work they put in for supply chain management and general business and marketing, and then they hire them full time. So I think 3 of our interns were hired after graduation. So it works, you know, internships work, paid, unpaid, short-term, long-term. The point is you cannot take away experience, period.
Awesome. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Lynn. Any other questions?
I had one more, just keep the conversation going here. This one was for Chris Simmons of the panel. Earlier, you said that, you know, it's about doing the things. And while it's just a cliche, I totally like agree with that. You have to get out there and you have to, you know, do the things. So how or what are a couple ways that somebody like an intern can really go above and beyond and do the things to make them stand out more?
Good question, Brendan. So yeah, do all the things. I mean, like literally, I capitalize all for a reason, because you don't want to grab or get into this whole pigeonhole where you're just one-dimensional, right? You want to attack, LinkedIn without going to recruiters. You want to go to career fairs, but you're only looking at a specific industry or a specific company. You don't look at all the companies, right? Or when I say do all the things, I mean literally all the things. I'm talking about your resume. I had a business card as a student. I mean, I know we're not kind of doing face-to-face, a lot of meetups now during this time, but just connecting. I mean, like joining all organizations, all LinkedIn applications that you can look for, not pigeonholing yourself to one specific avenue, a way of thinking. Because from my experience, I've gotten a lot of, so a couple of my internships actually came from organizations that I was not really a part of. I kind of crashed the organization, right? I kind of crashed this meeting. I kind of did more than what I was, putting up my blinders. I didn't just go supply chain association. I just didn't meet with Alpha Kappa Psi. It was, multicultural organizations, right? Building my resume by reaching out to different people, right? Multiple people, not just the ICMC. The ICMC is great. I mean, I got my first opportunity from the ICMC, but the first one is the hardest. But after that, you should, snowball into more internships or other things in the industry, right? Not just, I want to be this type of finance major. I want to be this type of accountant. I want to be this type of supply chain major with this type of experience. So kind of broaden it to, doing all the things is kind of, it was very basic. My PowerPoint was very, very straightforward. Everything, all the things. I kind of elaborated on some of it, but thank you for the question.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks again for the questions, Brendan.
No problem.
Hi, I have a question.
Hey, Helen, go right ahead.
Okay, so right now, I guess in my internship application process, I've had a few phone interviews and they haven't gone the best. I think I get nervous and then I have a tendency to ramble and over explain. So this is for anyone who could give insight. How can I prepare so that I can keep my nerves managed and not ramble when I do these phone interviews? Because I'll research the company, I'll have notes on the company up, I'll have my resume up, the job description pulled up, and I'll write out 4 or 5 questions that I want to ask. But I haven't gotten I haven't moved forward with the process. So I just want to make sure that my phone interviewing is better, because I know for a fact I get really scared, and even now I'm rambling. So how do I help with that?
That's a great question.
Well, one thing I will say, one tip I use now is when an interviewer will ask you a question, just take time to kind of think about your answer before you just give an answer. I know for my last 2 internship interviews, I took some time, whether it be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, just kind of understand what they're asking me, and then start speaking. And if it makes you feel any better, I think all my internships, I left that room thinking I blew it, and then I get a call back. So it's really just about kind of giving a meaningful answer rather than a quick answer. So kind of take a few seconds to calm your nerves after a question, and then proceed with answering. That's just one tip I can think of.
If I can chime in, it's a very good question. And what I always tell students to do is write down the questions that you are expecting to answer, right? Of course, they always ask about your strength, but they're always going to ask in some shape or form, when was a time that you had a problem and led a team to success, and what were the steps taken? So go back to maybe your history with employment. If you don't have too much history in employment, think about maybe some academic projects. It does not have to be a job that you refer to. It could be a problem if you were fundraising somewhere. It could be a problem with an academic project issue. Think about how you led a time to success and what were the steps taken. They usually will try and confuse you a bit and ask you like a 3-part question. And by the time they get to the 3rd part, you don't even remember what the first part was, right? So take what we call marginal notes, where you're just you're jotting your brain down, you're jotting some information down so it kind of triggers your brain, and put down, okay, first they're asking me how I led a team to success, what steps. Then they're asking me blah, blah, blah. Put a couple things down so when you answer, you're answering in order, but think of different types of scenarios that you had previously that you can give an example. So you want to make sure you practice that in a mirror a few times. If they ask me this, I'm going to talk about this problem I had at this job. If they ask me this, I'm going to talk about this, what happened on an academic project. So think about all the things that maybe went wrong and you led a team to success. How did you do all of this? What steps were taken? Those are questions that they ask over and over in different types of formatted ways. So notes and anticipation.
Hi, Helen. So I have a tip to calm your nerves. So actually this one I learned from Ian, that when you have a phone interview, try to stand in front of the mirror so you can see yourself, and talking on the phone while you look at yourself on the mirror, so you force yourself to smile or be natural. So I think that's really helpful, and I have applied that tip and it's worked for me. So I hope it's gonna work for you. You're gonna get it.
To piggyback
Thank
off
you.
Lynn, same. I have done that in the mirror and it does work. Practice, of course. But it's fun. It should be fun. You should be smiling.
And then
Thank
one other
you.
thing to always keep in mind is the STAR method. I know I have an issue of rambling in almost any time that I talk. So definitely ensuring that you're thinking in your head. I got to scream it to myself internally, like, situation, task, action, result, situation, task, action, result. And that way it's 4 sentences and then you're done. You don't have to keep being like, oh, I got to mention that and I got to mention that. It's like, nope, I just got to mention the situation. Then I got to mention the task I had to do. What did I do? How did it result? And just screaming that to myself internally is what I have to keep doing throughout my interviews to make sure I don't ramble.
I actually have some advice too on that. I think one thing is like, everyone's talking about practice. I definitely think just getting those phone interviews and just doing them over and over again. The first one's a lot more scary than the 15th one you do, right? Once you do it so many times, like it's like all second nature. You already know your answers because they ask the same questions over and over again. So it all becomes the same. You can almost do it with your eyes closed. So I would definitely say just keep applying and just keep doing more and more. And eventually like those nerves go away. I remember my first phone interview, I actually like freaked out in the middle of it and I could not get words out, right? And now I super comfortable and I, just get through them pretty easily. So I just say practice, just get that experience. A rejection is not always a bad thing. Sometimes just being able to practice doing the interview is good enough. So that's my advice.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Thanks again for the question, Helen. Is there anyone else that has a question to ask? Feel free to put it in the chat as well if you don't feel like speaking.
I want to leave with one more tip, guys. I get real passionate about all this. Before you leave your internship, try to get 1 or 2 letters of recommendation, because we could always say we did a great job, but having proven documentation is something that helps build your profile. and especially being in college, it looks good to show that you went out of your way for a practical experience, and then you also got letters of recommendation. So that really does help many students because it's there, it's proof in the pudding. So it's a good tip just to kind of keep.
Yeah, with that as well, I know at Marathon, what they would do is they would have like a halfway review where I basically, the intern would put what tasks they were doing. It would ask you other stuff like, what is your, how is your communication skills? How is your organizational skills? Stuff like that. And I would write on it. And then my manager and mentor would then talk with the other people on my team or that I interacted with, get their opinions, write it down, and then I would be scored. So those documents, and of course you always want to talk to your manager, but I was able to, send a copy of those documents to my personal email. So now I have those on file. So it's probably not one of the documents you want to have shared on like your personal website or LinkedIn. However, now that I'm starting to go into interviews for when I'm graduating, I'm planning on bringing these documents. I'm planning on being able to say, here's some documents I want you to see. If you're interested in what I worked on. Again, since it's virtual, you probably want to email these beforehand. You don't want to kind of show up and be like, hey, look at these documents that I have. So that way it's something that they can review, and that way it may even make the questions a lot easier for you. And again, it's another thing, because I know me, I'll do something a week ago and not remember that I did it. Like my mind's always moving. I'm always forgetting things. So to have that documentation down, it helps me like look back and say, oh yeah, I did do that, or I do have experience in that, or I don't even remember doing that, but I know I can do it. So definitely always just writing down things as you're going through them for your future self is always very important. Is the floor open for any more, or the floor is open for any more questions? I'll give it about another minute. Again, if you have any questions that you don't feel like speaking on, if you're busy, feel free just to shoot them in the chat. All right, last call for questions.
Hi, it's me again.
Hey, Helen.
Hi. Okay, so yesterday I actually thought that I had just a phone call with a recruiter, but it ended up being a phone interview, which I wasn't prepared for, but I had researched the company, so I nailed that part. So the recruiter kind of made it sound promising, like there was a good chance I would get to like the Zoom interview portion. So on the chance that that happens, and I don't want to say it's like a for sure thing, but like on the chance that it happens, what do you recommend? Like, how would you prepare for like a Zoom interview? And again, like an actual, I guess, questions that they ask during non-phone screenings, if that makes sense.
All right. Yeah,
can start.
very good question, Helen.
I can start if you'd like. Ian, is that cool?
Oh yeah, no, I was just
Okay,
telling
yeah.
Helen, thank you.
Yeah, no, so I've actually become very fluent in these Zoom interviews, and it's, if it's a second round, I mean, they're probably not going to ask you everything that's super basic, but they're probably what they want to do is dig deeper into your background. So they're probably going to ask you a lot of questions about how you build teams and, different experiences. So like, for example, you worked at Home Depot. So they might ask you, what you did at Home Depot, and, kind of talking about that, basically kind of walking you, through the whole thing. And just being on Zoom, I'd just say, dress like you're going to an in-person interview, be ready, have a good professional background. So something probably a little nicer than this would be good. So, any blank wall will do, and just make sure that before you get on the interview that your technology is good. I've had the problem a lot where the internet's not working or my computer will crash. So just kind of take that extra step, make sure your technology is working. And just like before, research that company, You know, you can even look up on Glassdoor. I know they ask a lot of people like put interview questions that they were asked on Glassdoor. So that could be a good way for you to prepare for that and just kind of read reviews about the company. You know, if you have your research done, you know what's on your resume. I mean, nothing can really stop you at that point, right? It's just kind of a culture fit at that point.
Another tip I could share with specifically the Zoom interviews is make sure when you're interviewing during the Zoom or any sort of FaceTime or whatever, always make sure you're staring at the computer camera, not at the person's face on your computer. Because I'm not sure if you can tell just from how far I am from my laptop, but here you can see I'm looking at the camera. And then here you can see I'm looking at Aman's face, for instance, and it makes a difference. It really does. And the recruiters notice it. And it may not be, you know, the difference between, you know, them being, oh, they're paying attention or not. I don't think it's a matter of that, but it's a matter of just that psychological aspect of it. It feels more comfortable. You feel like you're having a conversation. And that's what these virtual meetings are trying to accomplish. So go above and beyond, be energetic, be Helen times 10 when you're on these Zoom meetings, because they don't get to see that in person. They only get to see you in the 2D version. So be that 3D animated, you know, whoever you are, whatever your personality is, whatever you want to ensure that message is sent across. So
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off what Ryan and Ian said, I think during interviews after, you know, they screen your resume, it's more about a culture fit. Like, how do you fit in with the culture? So there's no way around it. You know, you are who you are. So you just gotta, you know, just be calm, cool, calm, and collected, and just kind of sell yourself. And so yeah.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it.
thank you, Helen.
Mhm.
All right, last call for any questions. All righty. All right. Well, I want to thank not only the panelists, but Rita as well for coming here and representing the ICMC. This has been a really great event. And as well, if anyone here is interested in joining Alpha Kappa Psi or you'd like to see some more information on it, feel free to contact any of the panelists here. Ryan, like you mentioned, is still our current president until I believe for the next couple weeks or so, and then we'll have our new president, Lindsay, coming in. So feel free to search us up in Gmail or on LinkedIn as well. We all got LinkedIns, and we'd all love to hear from anyone that's interested in learning about our fraternity. So to conclude, again, I just want to say thank you to everyone for showing up here. And always feel free to link up with us on LinkedIn if you have any questions about your business future. Always look into asking the ICMC for help. That's why they're here. That's what your tuition pays for. And again, thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, everyone. Have a good night.